January 3rd meeting of the Board of Supervisors. We're changing a few little things up because of the reorg that we have to do today. And what we're going to do is we're going to have the swearing in of Max and Rob, and then we will reorganize. So let's get on with the show. Thank you. Thank you for everybody for coming. Becky's over there. Becky, would you read Rhonda, read into order?
Yes, swearing in by Rebecca Martinez, County Clerk, Supervisor Max Rodriguez, District 4, and swearing in Supervisor Robert L. Poitras, District 3. If the supervisors would go, please stand by the podium with Ms. Martinez.
Go ahead.
Do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California, that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter. Thank you very much. And I believe that Mrs. Poitras is going to swear Rob in. I left out swear at.
All right. I do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the State of California
against all enemies,
both foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California, that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter. That's it.
He's going to stand behind you and then stand behind you. I haven't.
Okay, now we'll do the presentation and passing the gavel over to Max Pro Temp, and then the board will reorganize and vote in the chair and the Pro Temp. Before I give up my position here, I would just like to say this board has been one of the best boards I think Madera County has had in a long time. And we really fixed a lot of things in 4 years that were really hurting the county. A lot of good things we did, some things negative, I know, but there's big decisions made up here. And I really enjoyed the last couple of weeks. Rob and I went out and looked at all the departments we visited before Christmas, most of the departments, and I think we had a good time. Rob really, I think, enjoyed the tours, didn't realize how big, how many departments we have compared to a city. And but I think Rob's going to do a great job, and I really like it that someone with Rob's capability is taking my position. So I want to thank everybody, all the heads of staff. You've been great. I know we have a lot of new heads of staff, but it's just made Madera County even a better place. So thank you again for the 4 years, and I really enjoyed myself and all the things that we worked on. So I'll be around, so we'll talk to you later. Okay. Next. Good job. There you go.
Thank you for your dedication, Rick, and everything you've done.
One more. Do I smile? Thank you.
Reorganization, we're open for nomination for chairman.
Mr. Chair, I move that we nominate by acclamation Max Rodriguez to chairman.
Second. Beat you.
We have first and second.
Your vice chair is still coming up. No, I'm kidding.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Well, passes 5-0.
Congratulations.
Motion,
I nominate Tom Wheeler for vice chair.
second. Thank you.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
Yeah, great.
Good way to start the new year with 2 unanimous votes.
There you go. At this time, we'll have the presentation of colors.
Forward, after, up. Mark time, mark. Hold on. Halt. Left, hey. Reset, halt. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now we'll have the invocation.
Thank you. The Bible says in Isaiah chapter number 30 and verse number 21, it says, "Let your ears will hear the word behind you," or the voice behind you, saying, "This is the way, walk in it, when you turn to the right hand and when you turn to the left." Let's pray. Heavenly Father, this coming year of the year of 2017, we give you thanks. We thank you for the abundance that this county has. We thank you for its resources. And Lord, I pray that it will continue to just be blessed in an abundant way. Lord, I thank you for direction. I thank you for guidance. Lord, I pray that these men will continue to seek your face every day as they lead this county. Lord, I pray for the staff of this county that they will continue to be encouraged and strengthened and be in health. Lord, we pray for a blessing over this county that will continue to flow from the very top of the mountains to the very lowest point of this valley. Lord, we ask that you will continue to guide and direct us in everything that we do. And Lord, I pray a special blessing for this year of 2017 and for this meeting today as we invoke a blessing. And we pray that in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Guard. Point. Ho. Right. Hey. Forward. A half step. Ho.
Members of the board, I thank you for entrusting me to serve as your chairman this year. If possible, I would like to make a few brief introductions and make a short statement to start the year. First and foremost, I would like to introduce my family, which is Sarah Rodriguez. Stand up, Sarah. She's very bashful. Yeah. My daughter, Karen. Stand up, Karen. And a good friend, Minnie Aguirre. Cesc Lopez. Joe Rios. Esther Ray. And Luis. Stand up, please. He works for the DA. With us, we also have some dignitaries, which is Will Oliver. Will, where are you at? There you go. Will. He's a member of the city council. And we have Andy Medellin.
He's in the situation.
He's back there. Okay.
He's already enjoying the fruits of the election.
He's our mayor, City of Madera. And we have from Madera Unified School District, we have Ed McIntyre. Ed. Thank you. Hey, Gail's with you. Hi, Gail. Get up, Gail. Yeah. She used to be a supervisor 20 years ago. We have in the audience, we have Gordon Kennedy, a former supervisor. Thank you, Gordon. And we have Rod over there. Stand up, Rod. Rod, get up. Thank you. Of course, we have Becky here, Becky Martinez. We have Sheriff Marty. Carl Jansen. He's over there. There you go. and Jay Mahill from the Farm Bureau. Jay. And of course, we can't miss Monty Pistoresi. We have Charles Rigby. Charles. There you go. City Council, City of Madera. So we have Rick Jensen.
Tracy Kennedy.
No, we are Tracy Kennedy. Yeah.
You were hiding back there.
And if I missed a few names, please forgive me.
Gary's here? Oh, right here, Gary's
Yeah.
Fonda.
There's Fonda. Mr. Fonda, get up.
That's a lot. He says, let's move on.
At this time, we're going to, what else do we have? Pass the gavel.
Mr. Chairman, did you want to take a little break right now?
No.
No break? Okay.
We're going to be taking about a half-hour break so we can say hello to our neighbors or relatives, okay?
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to have an opportunity to recognize a few folks that
You
are
bet.
here. Okay,
You
thank
bet.
you so much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and my fellow colleagues, and I really appreciate the opportunity to be here and have this honor to be elected by the citizens of Madera County to serve in this particular role. And first of all, I'd like to introduce my family who is here. Of course, my wife Carol, who swore me in, and we have my brother, actually my twin brother Roger. He's the farmer in the family. He's here, and then I have my cousin Kenneth, who some of his colleagues of VFW here with the color guard, and last but not least, I have my uncle here, Ransom Poitras. Uncle Ransom is 99 years old.
Wow.
And
You got a chance then.
I've got a chance. Yeah, exactly. Man.
Wow.
He's just celebrated his 100th Thanksgiving, his 100th Christmas, and so now we're on our way for the 100th birthday. And he's a 1934 graduate of Madera High School, and from there he went to Stanford, served in the Navy during World War II, and was a professor at Fresno State until he retired 35 years ago when he was 65. And but since then he's been remaining active in the Clovis community. But you'll notice his name Ransom. For those historians in Madera County, you'll recognize that name. There's a Dr. Dow Ransom, who was the kind of the pioneer doctor here in the county, and he delivered my uncle as well as my aunt and my father while they still lived in Biola in Fresno County. But he covered a wide area, so they named him after Dr. Ransom. My family on both sides has pretty moderately deep roots. We have my one side of the family came here due to the lumber industry in the mid-1910s and landed up in North Fork with the Forest Service, and then my grandfather managed the Sugar Pine Lumber Mill in Central Camp for a couple of years in the late 20s, and the other side of the family arrived here in the early 20s to farm, but it was farming that was in common. It was farming wood or farming crops or something. So but it was all about economic opportunity, and that's something that we strive to. We're going to be striving to do, and continue to strive to do as far as developing here. And again, I'd just like to thank you, my friends and colleagues from the city of Madera, for being here and in the business world, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Robert.
Welcome aboard.
Before we break, I'd like to say a few words. It's an honor and a privilege to serve you, County Madera, as your chairman. This morning we'll say goodbye to our fellow supervisor and friend, Rick Farnelli. Rick Rick leaves big shoes to fill, but I am confident our board will continue to successfully lead Madera County. So having said that, I didn't know Rick very well before he came on the board, but I'll tell you what, this man used to show up to work at 8 o'clock and didn't leave until 5 o'clock, 5:30. Then he would attend other meetings. He did that for 4 years, folks, and this is the truth. And I was amazed. He visited all departments, all department heads, and he earned his pay. With that said, I would like to introduce and welcome Supervisor Robert Poitras to our team. Supervisor Poitras has experience and knowledge and brings a fresh perspective to our board as we enter into a new era of Madera County government. Rest assured that our board will continue to fight for what's best for our county. While we may not always agree with one another, but this board is prudent in making responsible, practical, and effective policies which are in the best interest of the county. I would also like to acknowledge each of the 1,100 county employees and extra help who carry out the day-to-day operations of running this county. You are the backbone of our organization, the heart and soul of our community. Without your hard work, dedication, and service, we would not be able to be the county that we are today. Despite the fact that we operate on bare essentials, each of you have remained committed to delivering quality service to our residents. I cannot thank you enough for all that you do. I'm excited about what the next 12 months will bring. This will be my 13th year serving as a supervisor, and although we have shared our share of challenges, we have been abundantly blessed with many wonderful opportunities. Our future continues to be very bright here in Madera County, and I cannot stress enough how important it is to work with one another. During this transitional time, we must remember the importance of working together, and that our most powerful resource is each other. Your thoughts, ideas, and concerns are welcome, and my door is always open. Once again, I'd like to thank all of you, and I look forward to working with you and serving you. Thank you. Now we'll take a break. Okay, reconvene this meeting. Addition to the agenda, Rhonda?
No, Mr. Chairman, there's no additions.
Okay, public comment.
Public comment. The first 15 minutes of each regular session is set aside for members of the public to comment on any item within the jurisdiction of the board, but not appearing on the agenda. Items presented under public comment may not be discussed or acted upon by the board at this time. For items appearing on the agenda, the public is invited to comment at the time the item is called for consideration by the board. Any person addressing the board under public comment will be limited to a 3-minute presentation to ensure that all interested parties have an opportunity to speak. Any handouts to the board must be submitted to the chief clerk of the board for distribution to the supervisors. Anyone addressing the board needs to print their name clearly on the speaker sheet at the podium. Also, all persons addressing the board must state their name and county of residence for the record.
You have the mic. Good morning, Happy New Year. New Board of Supervisors and to the citizens of Madera County. I'm Todd Miller, Auditor Controller. I don't usually write out my speeches, but I did on this occasion because, at least in the world of bean counters, it's momentous. The state of California sets minimum requirements for preparing and filing the annual audited financial statement for the county. To be considered current, these basic financial statements need to be filed by March 31st of the year following the previous June 30 year end. Keep in mind, these are the minimum requirements. When I came here 2.5 years ago, the county had not met these minimum requirements for at least 15 years.
At least.
9 months after I got here, I'm bragging a little bit, we issued current financial statements for the first time. That following on March 31st, the last possible day. We met the deadline again with the 2014-15 statements. For the 2015-16 year, the staff of the Auditor Controller's Office challenged themselves to do better. They decided we should do more than the minimum. We should do our best. Supervisors and citizens of Madera County, I am pleased to announce that on December 30th, we sent not the minimum financial statement, but a complete, comprehensive, audited financial report to the Federal Clearinghouse. This report encompasses 180 pages detailing the financial condition of our county.
That was what date?
Pardon me?
What day was that?
I did it on December 30th.
Wow.
We've never, that as far as I know, have we done it. I would like to do
the next 3 months now.
I would like to, pardon me?
What are you going to do the next 3 months? You got it all done.
I don't know. I'm going to try to influence marijuana legislation. Yeah, well, blunt break at 2 o'clock. I would like to congratulate and thank the county departments who helped in this endeavor. I would like to thank Galena CPAs, who I badgered mercilessly to make sure this happened. And I would like to especially thank your chief financial accountant for this, Eileen Christensen, and her staff for their extraordinary hard work and dedication to make this happen. While most of the county spent the day after Christmas with their families, Eileen was at her desk reviewing the rough draft of this report so that I could present it to you today.
Wow.
My sincere thanks to the entire staff of the Auditor Controller's Department. This is a great start for our new year. I would like to give the first copy, hot off the press, to our new chairman. Woo! Thank you, Todd. Todd, on behalf of Madera County, we want to thank you for delivering on the budgets, which hadn't been done in years and years and years. So we want to thank you, Aled, on behalf of the board here and our staff. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to make sound financial decisions when you actually have a real set of numbers that you can look off of. It's amazing.
Good morning. I'm Bart Topping from O'Neill's, California. The last board meeting, there was a couple of issues that came up over the Black Hawk OHV, proposed Black Hawk OHV project. One of them that I would like to address and correct is about the property being in the Williamson Act. It was stated at this meeting, or at the last meeting, that it wasn't. But there's 6 parcels of that of the 8 parcels that are in the Williamson Act.
We said we'd look at that and see.
Want
we
to
didn't say
correct
it wasn't. We just said that we were going to look at it and see. I said we didn't say it wasn't. We said we were going to check and see if they were, because I didn't know myself.
Well,
and it was 6. Yeah, I found out that same day it was 6 out of the 8.
Yeah. Okay. My next point I would like to bring up is I gave you a handout, and I didn't do much explaining about it, but it seems like I need to clarify why I did that for you. This handout comes from the Native American Heritage Commission, State of California. Was sent to Mr. Thornton of the Madera County Planning Commission, and I didn't believe that you folks probably didn't get a copy of it, so I wanted to make sure that you did. And I have another copy here if the new supervisor needs it, so I will leave that with you. But what I want to point out is what we're going through right now, the Section 106 process, satisfies the federal highway people. This is going to be needed to be satisfied when you get to the point of actually building the park, if it gets that far. So Mr. Hayter has stated several times that the Federal Highway Commission has dropped the ball on this project, and the county has done everything that they needed to do, and that is so. The county has done everything they've needed to up to this point, and the Federal Highway Commission is doing what they need to do from here on. Before they can write you a check or give you the money for this to purchase the land, they need to satisfy Section 106, and they're probably going to need to satisfy the NEPA process. NEPA will, as probably you know, will involve a needs assessment, impact on Highway 41, dust, noise, and probably not fire, but it may, and that's the big one for me, because I think you folks really need to look forward to what's going to happen if a fire starts on that, if that is built. There's a subdivision, there's two subdivisions actually, the High Lead, or not High Lead, but the one that Flying O, and then the one at Indian Lakes. A lot of houses, fire gets started down there and goes up and burns up a half a dozen houses. Who's responsible? Person that started it, the company that's managing the project, or the folks that own the property? My guess is going to be all three, and probably the folks that own the property, which will be you folks, will have the deepest pockets. So that needs to be taken into consideration, and those questions at some point need to be answered, and I think through the NEPA process that'll come about. So I just wanted to bring that up to you, and if I can, I would like to give it.
Thank you, Bart.
Thanks, Bart.
Yeah. Thank you.
I got one too.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to announce that the new visitors guide is out now, and the ones out on the counter outside are the last year's, and I'll get some more down here, but it's, we changed the name now. It's Visit Yosemite Madera County now instead of the Yosemite Madera Visitor Bureau. So that's the new name of it. It's a beautiful magazine. I'll get more of them so we'll have them out there, but you guys can look at it and see what they've done. Such a good job.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the board and citizens in the audience today and county staff. My name is Bill Ritchie from Raymond in Madera County. Those of you on the previous board know that I've come here many times over the last 2 years speaking for the need of enhancements and improvements in public safety in Madera County for both the Sheriff's Department and Madera County Fire Department. I'm very pleased and grateful that the previous board has been very receptive and recognized the shortcomings of our needs for public safety in 2016 and 17 that have been neglected for years. The board has demonstrated courage, political courage and willpower in tackling this. You proposed a measure that I think is solid in that it holds yourself to accountability and transparency to the public. With the new board being seated today, I'd like to congratulate Supervisor Rodriguez on assuming chairmanship and welcoming Mr. Poitras to the board. Going forward, we have a very short 8 weeks to bring about to end a successful campaign and garner approval from the public. I ask each of you to remain committed and focused and work with us, and I know you will, to bring this about. I feel it's the best opportunity to address shortcomings in paid personnel, assist the volunteer paid call firefighters to help compensate them for their times away from family and the training costs that they have out of their pocket, have safer conditions for the public and the firefighters, and new equipment. Without you, we couldn't do this, and I look forward to what lies ahead. I want to thank you again, and I'll do everything I can to help bring this to a successful outcome. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill, for all your work.
Thank you. If nobody else wants to speak, we'll go on to number 8, consent calendar.
I got a question on Scott. On item F is the new board members for the Costco Resource Conservation District, and my son is put his name in to be approved today. And does that create any conflict of interest that I could or could not vote on that?
Are you receiving a financial benefit from your son?
No, there's neither one of them. Nobody gets paid or nothing on it.
Then there's no financial conflict of interest here.
Okay. I just want to make sure before I open my mouth.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any other questions on any of the items?
On I, more of just a statement. I'm just excited that we're going to be fixing that bridge. Is that correct? So that we can join the two counties together?
Yeah. Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. Jared Carter, Public Works. Happy New Year. Welcome, Supervisor Poitras. This item is actually a joint project. This is for there's an existing bridge there. It's a one-lane bridge over Redinger. And yes, so the project as a whole will replace that bridge with a two-lane bridge.
I got pictures of it if you want to look at it. I was there. I've been involved with it since day one they started doing this, and they took the lead on it, which is fine. So that bridge, one of the big Edison Company trucks hit the bridge a couple of years ago and about wiped it out, and that's the only way they got to get across there. So they got it shored up right now, but they're going to actually move it down just a little ways from that one. So it'll be pretty cool.
And then there's another thing. There's the old broken bridge going into Friant from Madera County. The Madera County side bridge is broken. Let's start getting that removed. There's money at San Joaquin River Conservancy.
So it was a part of a previous project we did. You know, we work under contract for them, and I think we're working currently with Public Works to try to contract for the removal. As you might imagine, they don't just let you go.
Things. They blasted those up with dynamite when they tore it down. That's how it's all broke up.
But you make a good point.
County took out their part that was blasted up.
Well, yeah, they didn't have nothing compared to us.
You make a point that we need to typically remember is that nothing ever gets easier. So we now have to get permits to remove that bridge. That now is a thing we need a permit to do, where in your concept, if we would have done it at the time, it would have been better. So we are aware of that. That's something we want to do. And just in general, our border with Fresno County is a river at all places, right? Anytime we border Fresno County is a river at the San Joaquin River, and we have lots of bridge discussions with them over time, but that one is an important one as well. Yes, sir.
I mean, I don't know where the graffiti artists will practice anymore, but if we remove it, but I think we should probably still remove it.
I think we may off agenda. I'm not going to say anything else.
So I also on that bridge at Redinger, Bart, we actually met with all the tribes on that about probably a year ago now, and had them all there to go over the site, because there is a site right there close to where that bridge is. So, and at Whiskey Creek too, there where they're going to do it up there, that little bridge.
It's good.
Ahmad? Okay.
If there's no further questions, I'll...
Does anybody in the public want to make a comment on this agenda? Apparently not.
I move we approve item 8, consent calendar with all the items.
Second.
Yeah, first, second, have a roll call.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
Okay, now we go into a regular session.
9A, County Administration Department, Community Facilities District Formation, Tesoro Viejo. 1, discussion and consideration to adopt a resolution of intention to establish a Community Facilities District number 2017-1, Tesoro Viejo, and to authorize the levy of special taxes therein and setting the public hearing for February 7, 2017 at 10 a.m. 2, discussion and consideration to adopt a resolution of intention to incur bonded indebtedness for Community Facilities District number 2017-1, Tesoro Viejo, and setting the public hearing for February 7, 2017 at 10 o'clock a.m.
Yes, Chairman, members of the board, Norman Allender here, and we have some of our consultants present and some of our staff present. So I'm Norman Allender. I'm the County Planning Director, and before you today is a series of items establishing the Community Facility District for Tesoro Viejo. This is somewhat momentous. You many times hear me talk about, when I talk at open forums, about the importance of governance and maintenance and how that's so important, as we know when we look at other parts of the county where we didn't adopt our assessments correctly and how we're trying to keep up with maintenance and on top of that. So at some level, this has taken it to a new height and to make sure we are covered a whole lot better on our maintenance. So with us here today as our consultants, Tom Johansson is our financial advisor. Where's Tom at? And then Susan Goodwin is our special tax consultant. There we go. And then Scott Ferguson, our bond counsel from Jones Hall. Now, we have Nicole, who's worked a lot on this, and we should definitely thank, and Kevin, who's put a lot of this, Joel, and really a big part of Eric's staff. We should also talk about the auditor controller, Todd Miller. His office has been involved. Tracy Kennedy office has been involved. Gary Savanda's office has had some involvement. And, of course, Public Works as far as the maintenance and on the side. So this has been a group effort. Those of you who have been in some of these I'm sorry, Dale Bachgalupe is our attorney who did the work. I don't want to forget that. But some of these hour-long, 4 o'clock on a Friday meetings that went till 5:30 or 6 on a Friday. So this notion that government shuts down early every Friday didn't happen on this project, that's for sure. So
yeah, that was a 2-hour meeting.
That was yeah, we all kept track of that, sir. Yeah. So that's the real issue we have.
You got overtime, though.
None of us in the room did know. We're overtime exempt, so yes. So what we've got today is the formation. You'll see in a month from now, 30 days later, the second part of this. We have any presentations that we want to have put on the board. But item 9A represents the second and fourth steps of the formation. The resolutions are necessary to begin the process. Like I said, February 7th, we will come back again. The first hearing of an ordinance leveling special taxes. At a second hearing will be scheduled after the first hearing if approved special taxes become effective. So these are things that are all done pre-release of the property, right? So you have to have agreement to get this done. Many people are concerned about the notification requirements here and what you need to do, and I hear about this. It is part of the disclosure. When you buy a house, you have to have this disclosed to you. It's a special disclosure. Now, many people will use the shorthand and say they don't read all their disclosures. That's another matter. But it is absolutely disclosed, just like a right to farm ordinance is a part of our disclosures in this county, and many other disclosures that are required. So this is not a backdoor way of doing this. The property owners don't get this after the fact. They are told as they're going into it. So it's an important thing to remember to keep on top of and to understand that there's a lot of folks in the long run that will be paying attention, and there's administrative oversight that has to happen on all these things. The other thing I'd like to point out is our partnership with the school district on this project, right? And so we're working better with the school districts than we ever have before. This is a school district in the past where we've had litigation over CEQA, over projects, and now we are jointly working together to develop schools. So I'd have to say that we've come a long ways, and Supervisor Wheeler and I have been in a lot of those meetings, but come a long ways towards the improvements there. So this joint effort is something I think that we should look at as staff and as a county and be happy that we as a group are moving forward and letting the bygones be bygones and getting this community developed correctly in the first place. So that's it for staff presentation. As for now, I don't know if any of our consultants or Joel has anything for that. But so we have many items in here. We have lots of folks to answer questions. They aren't all at the table with me here today. I should have made them all sit here. Normally, Supervisor Poitras, they all sit at the table with me. I don't know why, so this could be a bad thing.
Supervisor Fraser.
Did you take a bath this morning?
I think there's.
Hold on, board.
I think there's an important point to make in this as well, with the disclosures that are going to go on. Where the KB homes in Madera, where they end up selling the homes for less. Part of this agreement is to if the home builder puts in a different product type that wasn't as part of the original agreement that would actually fund all this, they have to pay that special tax. It won't be borne by the homeowner. It will be borne by the home builder, or the developer. Is that correct?
So yes, there was a considerable amount of time put in at the staff level, and Supervisor Frazier, as the supervisor of record, was privy to some of these conversations. It was very important for us to make sure that anytime we had an option, that we took the option that was less effective on future property owners, that allowed future boards of supervisors. One of the decisions we had to do was to give them maximum ability. I can tell you how many times you as a board look at an action from 10 years ago and find out a previous board somehow made it difficult for you to do something different, right? So we always let the property owners give the full amount of information to understand that, and when we had a choice, we also set it up so that future boards, there wouldn't be some, quote, automatic thing that would bind future boards. They would be able to do what was best in 10 or 20 or 30 years, which, as we know, times change. So that's something that every time we had an ability to make a decision, we made sure we discussed it and made sure that disclosure was and the ability to understand it was a part of everything that we do. And I think Tracy's office was very concerned about that.
Yeah, we had a lot of in the room, a lot of dissenting opinions on how to get there. But the one thing that I think everybody in the room could agree to was that at the end of the day, the person that we were trying to protect was the end owner of the home in perpetuity, and those were what was driving each and every single one of these decisions. And I wanted to thank everybody that was a part of this process. I learned a lot about all this kind of on the fly, and luckily I had a lot of very intelligent people in the room explaining these things. So this was very in-depth, but again, from start to finish, it was the homeowner that was at the root of it, and that was from the developers, from our staff, from any of the consultants. At the end of the day, it was really focused on the end user.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Yeah, thank you. When Norm was talking about the schools, and when they first started this, we had a knockdown drag out, and actually Kesterson and John back there kind of broke the ice on it, because when they first started, they were demanding that we make them pay $32,000 per house to the schools when they built these. And so it was, there was some really tough fighting going back there. And but we got them down to where it's halfway reasonable, and a lot of people don't understand that we have the final say on land use, and it seems like everybody in the world, including the cities and the schools, think that they ought to get in our business of trying to do land use, and it's just not going to happen. At least when I'm on this school board. On this board of supervisors. Thank you.
Anybody else? Let's go public. Anybody public comments?
Dale Drozen, Fresno County resident. Just a short thing that I'm concerned about is this affects the property values of the homes around it. The homes around these subdivisions have the price built in for all of the infrastructure, where these homes are selling for $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 less than a new home that doesn't have this district built into it. So it puts it at a disadvantage. The public's going to have to make sure that the appraiser understands, or I don't know if there is a position in there, but from personal knowledge, my house in Clovis was built prior to these being the usual, and all of the mitigation fees and the infrastructure was put on top of the price of the home. The subdivision that was built next to us went for $60,000 less for approximately the same house because theirs was on a bond for 30 years that the people paid into. So this is an ongoing concern for anybody that already has property or that is buying into property that does not have one of these facilities districts. Their house will look much more expensive for the same house. Thank you.
Actually, there's no houses around this place, is there?
Norman, you know, the city of Madera ran into that problem here about a year ago, and it's partial over there, and I want to mention the name of the company. But anyway, we had, I was involved because that's my district, but what happened was the property owners were not told about certain obligations, and by not knowing what happened, and then they received bills a year later, and there was a lot of misconceptions. End results, I don't know. But I believe they were involved with that bond with Belarus, and they didn't know what was going on. They asked, what they said was, they asked questions, is this my payment? Is this going to be my payment for 30 years? Yes, it is. And later on, a year later, they received a billing for, it went from $800 to $1,000 a month. They thought it was going to be monthly. I don't think that's the way it works, but that's what they thought. There was a big uproar there. And I think that was finally settled. And hopefully, but what it is, these people were not told up front. You know, most people don't read those contracts word for word. They depend on the salesperson to tell them what they're buying into. Well, in this case, the salesperson didn't tell them what they needed to know, so these people assumed that that was going to be their payment for 30 years, you know. But that wasn't the case. So we don't want to get into that situation, you know, and I think we won't, because if we learn from other examples, hopefully we'll get it correct.
That was a big part of the discussion, too. That exact one, luckily, that happened right at the time that we were doing it, and what that home builder had done, they were supposed to, they had based all of their Belarus on a certain price level for the house. Mm-hmm. Then when they dropped that price level, that then ended up going toward the homeowners had to pay the difference of that. Is that correct?
So the tax rates got affected, and now I really would defer to Mr. Savanda on that, but I can just tell you as a property owner, my taxes aren't static, right? Taxes do change, and so when you talk about a note on your house, you have a note, but taxes aren't static, and I'll stop talking about them because I'm outside of my area of discussion, but I just know that as a property owner. So it is a concern, though, Supervisor, and it did happen. This issue happened at the time. Like I said, we were discussing this, and a lot of thought went into how do we make sure, no different than a right to farm ordinance. Someone lives next to an almond orchard. We've had this happen in Shopshill a lot, a brand new house, and we get a call, hey, they're sweeping the almond. Yeah, well, that's what they do. They sweep. You know, so there's some of the things are important, but we did put a lot of effort into making sure that if we had a choice, it did not come back on the property owner to go into their pocket.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yeah, we do what we can to protect the consumer in our agreements, our MOUs, and our bonding, and what have you. The state of California, the laws concerning financial disclosure and real estate disclosure preempt anything that we might do in that case. And the fact is there are a number of protections already in place. In real estate disclosure, they require full disclosure. Financial disclosure is absolutely preeminent. They can lose their license, their ability to even handle these kind of things. So a lot of this sometimes ends up being a civil matter where we have no control, but we build in whatever protections we can in these MOUs.
At this time, we'll go to the public comment on this issue. None. We'll look back for a resolution.
I move that we approve approve item 9A 1 and 2.
Second.
We have first and second. Roll call.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
And then I also have to say I'm not going to be here on February 7th. I'm going to try and make arrangements to call in for the second reading.
Okay.
Thank you.
9B, Board of Directors.
9B, Board of Directors, Special District, County Service Area Number 2A/2B, Bass Lake Public Works Department, Capital Improvement Projects Division. County Service Area 2A/2B, Bass Lake Sanitary Sewer Project. 1, discussion and consideration of entering into an agreement with Clark Brothers Inc. in the amount of $3,590,266 for the County Service Area 2A/2B Bass Lake Sanitary Sewer Pump Station Improvements Project in Madera County. Contract number 11-021-LS project and authorize the chairman to execute the agreement. 2, discussion and consideration of approval to authorize the Public Works Director to issue the notice to proceed. 3, discussion and consideration of approval to authorize the Auditor Controller to issue payments for contingencies up to 10% of the contract award amount per established county policy. 4, discussion and consideration of approval to authorize the Public Works Director to solely issue and approve contract change orders in accordance with Public Contract Code not to exceed authorized contingencies.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'm Adel Kat with Public Works. I have with me Mr. Jared Carter with Capital Improvement, who, once this is awarded, his shop will take it over from there and managing the construction of the project. We're coming back here after we came to you back in November, where we rejected all bids because it came high and only one bid was received, and Council's advisement was to reject all bids and negotiate with the contractor, and we have been doing that, and we reached to a good place right now for us to award this project, and we feel comfortable that it will serve the community. We're here for any questions.
Supervisor Wheeler, you have the floor.
Thank you guys for working so hard on this, and thank you to County Council, because the first bids came out ridiculously crazy. And we floated these dollars amount to the citizens probably 5 years ago by now, 4 years ago, I guess. And so if we would have taken those other ones, we would have had to went back to all the people, and a lot of the people actually paid up front their share of those dollars for this project. And so we would have had to go back to them and try to say, well, guess what? It's going to cost you another $1,000 or something. And so and there's 600 lots there altogether, I think. So I'm so happy, staff, you guys come back and got this now that's in our budget, and we can move forward on this, because it is much, much needed. I mean, it is so bad, it's unbelievable. So thank you.
Any comment from the board? We'll go public on this item.
Before I make the motion, the other thing I wanted to say, that our staff and the people, I mean, we had to really, really talk them into voting for this. And it's another one of those projects that if we didn't get it done and get the funding for it, that the state would probably come in and start fining us like $10,000, $30,000 a day. So I want to thank the staff for really working with those people to get them convinced to do this. So anyway, I make a motion we approve 9B, 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Second.
We have a first and second.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
When will they can start working, you think?
As soon as we get this contract awarded, we'll start the pre-construction meeting with the contractor and hopefully get going within the next month to 2 months, I would think.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
9C, Board of Directors, Special District, County Service Area 2A/2B, Bass Lake Public Works Department, Capital Improvement Projects Division, County Service Area 2A/2B, Bass Lake Wastewater Treatment Plant. 1, discussion and consideration of entering into an agreement with Clark Brothers Incorporated in the amount of $5,468,780 for County Service Area 2A/2B, Bass Lake Wastewater Treatment Plant Improvement Project in Madera County. Project, and authorize the chairman to execute the agreement. 2, discussion and consideration of approval to authorize the Public Works Director to issue the notice to proceed. 3, discussion and consideration of approval to authorize the auditor controller to issue payments for contingencies up to 10% of the contract award amount per established county policy. 4, discussion and consideration of approval to authorize the Public Works Director to solely issue and approve contract change orders in accordance with Public Contract Code not to exceed authorized contingencies.
Okay, good morning again, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'm Adalkat with Public Works, again with Mr. Jared Carter with Public Works. We have also with us here Mr. Brandon Stipes with the consultants who designed the sewer plant for us. This again, we're back again after rejecting all bids back in November due to the high actual bids compared to the budgeted amount. And the same recommendation with council is to reject all bids, come back, negotiate, try to get a better price. And in conjunction with the same, this being with the same contractor that will do the lift stations, the prior one we just approved, this gave us a little room to save another $150,000 on the construction of the sewer plant. We are here for any questions, and the designer is also here. Thank you.
Supervisor Frazier?
So, I mean, and that sounds great, but it scares me that, you know, if everyone came in at a certain level but then we went back out, are we going to get into that? Is there contingencies that will allow them to get that $125,000? Is that was the real price the first bid that came in, and are we going to get to that anyway?
Well, the advantage of having the same contractor doing both jobs is savings in mobilization and demob. That's based, and then also the fact that he's already there working on our Oakhurst
That's one reason.
work.
So by pulling it together, they can bring everybody there, do all the work, and that's where the savings is going to come from.
Economies of scale, yes, we have anything.
Okay.
Moving that much equipment back and forth, you know, from wherever this company's from, even to Fresno, it's thousands of bucks.
I just want, if we're saving the money, I want us to stay on top of it and be on top of, make sure that the change orders don't start coming in to where we get back up to that again. I want to realize the savings is what I'm saying. So
correct. Yes, Supervisor. Just to let you know, during the negotiations with the contractor, that was one thing we definitely did talk about, was making sure that we're coming up with a price and scope that is real, and that it's not something that's going to, you know, have scope creep and end up, you know, blowing out the budget. And in terms of the treatment plant, that project went out to bid first. So that $150,000 saving, just as Ahmad pointed out, is a savings that we realized once we did the second bid, and because they're doing both projects, they can cut some cost out of the treatment.
So it's pretty much the savings is in the mobilization. We're not cutting out, you know, nuts and bolts that hold things together, right?
Right. Yeah. The cost difference when you look at both the projects, the cost difference that on the lift station bid that we were able to negotiate is quite different than the treatment plant, and the reason why is because there wasn't anything we could cut out of the treatment plant in terms of the design or any of the equipment. On the lift station, we were able to make some scope changes and change some stuff up to be able to bring that cost even lower. So
good. I just want to make sure that we're still doing it the right way. We're not cutting the corners just to cut corners.
No, Supervisor.
Through efficiency, we're getting there. That's
correct. We, with meeting with the engineers and the maintenance staff, most importantly, we could not even take out any.
Yeah, because if we cut out something that maybe creates more maintenance, we'll eat that $150,000 up like that in one issue. So I'm glad to hear that. Thank you.
CAO.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think my question was answered, but I think it was worth noting. I just wanted to make sure that the scope hadn't changed because people were assessed for a certain full scope of work. So it's worth clarifying that full scope of work is still being done, or has that... Was that modified, or that was
correct? The scope of work and the intent of the project, all items are being fulfilled in this bid. Just like Jared said, the original bid is as advertised. The only savings is because it's combined with the same contract. So we did not take anything out. Neither Brandon, I mean, you can concur to that, or our staff let us do that. So.
Supervisor Poitras?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And you may have already answered this question, but in a project like this, it's kind of a specialized type of deal. And do we have the expertise on staff to provide the third-party oversight as far as disbursement of funds as far as the project progresses?
That is, yes, we do, Supervisor. And for construction services also, we have, Corolla will serve as our construction engineers. And everything we will put extra attention to that. I trust that Jared and his staff will do an outstanding job. So.
Excellent. Thank you.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Yeah, we got great staff that really keeps on top of these big projects, and we've done a lot of these like this, so it's really nice to know you got staff that's there. Brandon, you've heard all of our discussion about this, and as an engineer, how we've done this, both of these, the lift stations and this, you're okay with our assessment of how we're doing it and what they've done? And I guess you've been right along with them doing it, right?
Sure. Yes, Supervisor. One other thing I would point out is that in addition to some of the mobilization savings, there was always going to be a fair amount of coordination required between the two projects.
And the two companies.
I'm sure, as everybody knows, it's a lot easier to do something by yourself than to try to get 4 or 5 people on the same page all the time. So I think they're realizing a lot of savings there also as far as some of the programming
and
how they're
going in and out.
Exactly.
Coordination.
You don't waste any time saying, "Oh no, that was part of your part," or "No, this is my part," or any of those arguments. They all go away with the same contractor kind of doing all of it, and the result should be, I would argue, more beneficial in that you will have a more perfectly integrated system by having one point of responsibility for the entirety of the system now.
And by you've done a few of these projects.
Yes, sir.
I mean, you told me you were working on that other one for 3 years, so you've done a few of these.
Yeah.
Do you think that this is a pretty good system and everything the way we're doing it?
Absolutely. This is
it's really important around the lake.
This is really the right project for the Bass Lake community. One of the challenges there is that due to the nature of Bass Lake itself, they have really wild population swings, and so that's a difficult way for facilities to operate with these, huge 4-to-1 or 5-to-1 changes in flow and loading. And the project here helps address those issues, as well as replaces some equipment that, in all honesty, was probably beyond its service life 10 or 15 years ago.
Right. So also some of the pipelines are in the lake right now, see? So this will take all the pipelines out of the lake. And so every time one breaks, you don't have a turd floating around there to see if it's going to get in your face or something when you're skiing. So that'll help a lot. So I mean, we had to abandon the lake a few times because of that for breaks. So it's not funny. Let's
go out to the public. Any public comment? Let's bring it back to the board for motion.
I move we approve item C, 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Second.
We have first and second. Roll call.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
Thank you guys very much.
9D.
9D.
Tax Collector Department.
9D, Treasurer Tax Collector Department. Discussion and consideration of approval of a resolution approving the Treasurer's purchase of bonds pursuant to Government Code Section 53601, issued by the Madera County Public Finance Authority to finance public improvements in County Service Area 2A, 2B, Bass Lake, in the amount not to exceed $7,700,000, maturing by 9/1/2033 for lift station collection systems and wastewater treatment system and related improvements for Bass Lake County Service Area number 2A, 2B.
Hi, good morning, Treasurer, Tax Collector Tracy Kennedy. Desmond, nice to see you, or Tracy Kennedy. What began in 2012 is finally coming to fruition in 2017. So what we are trying to do here is to finish this Bass Lake CSA 2A2B. That the engineer's report was done in 2012, and a lot of the board approvals came in 2012 and 2013. We put in here a not to exceed amount for the treasurer to purchase bonds that are issued by the district. And you'll see in your subsequent items that as far as the issuing of the debt for this district, revenue bonds. So that is something we put together. Our financing team consists of Tom Johnson again. He was here for Tesoro Viejo. Scott Ferguson from Jones Hall, big fisherman he is. And then, of course, Nicole and Joel and Kevin and Maud. I mean, we've been working on this literally for years, for the benefit of the 1,100 residents up there. Now, what began, again, in 2012, we had a 218 election, little history, and they said, okay, yeah, we will indebt ourselves, we will increase our rates. We did a cash payment period. And we collected over $3.5 million in cash payments, so those people won't have any bonds, any revenue, any debt on their tax bills. And so for the balance, we need to issue bonds. So that's why we're here today. So what we have done is put together a financing team to issue wastewater treatment revenue bonds that are supported by the levy. Now, also, we put in a levy 3 years ago. We put a capital improvement levy on the taxpayers up there that are the ratepayers, and except for the, I don't know how many paid, 300 or so probably paid prepaid, so the other 800. So for the other 800, they have annual debt service payment, an annual capital improvement payment on their tax bills of about $700 a year, okay? And so that is the revenue stream that has been established to go ahead and repay for the revenue bonds that are being issued. Now, revenue bonds that are issued, I can purchase revenue bonds as part of, in the government code, allows me to purchase municipal bonds from the state, from municipalities, cities, school districts. I can, any bonds that are issued, I can invest in. That is allowed investment in the government code. What I need special approval from today is to go beyond 5 years. Nothing in the code allows me to go beyond 5 years. So, but there is a caveat in the code that allows for us going over 5 years if it is a reasonable, if it's allowed, if it's a good public purpose, and that's what I'm here for today. We have done this a couple of times since in my tenure of 29 years. We did it for Sumner Hill a long time ago, and we did it for Bass Lake, actually, when they did some bonds up there one time. So anyway, that's what we're here to do. We're here to get approval to go out beyond 5 years so that I can purchase the bonds. Now, one of the things that we have noted in your backup is the not to exceed. The not to exceed amount, $7.7 million, and the not to exceed the time, okay? So, and not to exceed the interest rate. So that's in the board letter. So with that, any questions or?
Yeah, how did you get elected when you were 10 years old?
Hold on. Oh, God love you.
Has the mic.
Yes.
Yeah, watch it there, redhead. Hey, I was adding up all these dollars, and it's $9,059,046, and we got 7.7, and you said you received around $3.5 million. That makes it about $11,200,000. So.
Right. This is part of the levy I was telling you about. We're collecting probably $600 and some thousand per year off of the tax bill right now. So that's that makes up the difference.
Put in.
Yeah.
There's the $3.5 million, right?
So we already had $3.5 million.
People paid
originally.
Up front, right.
Right. So that we have a cash balance of that. And I was wondering who would do the math.
I got it right here. You want to see it?
Yeah, no. And then also every year, due to what the capital improvement charge that is already on the tax bill, this is our third year levy.
Yeah.
We're collecting about $660,000 per year from those collections that are on the tax bill. Okay. So that has allowed us to accumulate a cash balance for engineering to use.
All those
right.
Up front.
So for a lot of the project, they already have funds in the account.
Okay, that's just because those numbers didn't add up. So I was just wondering. So great work, and like I said a while ago, this is such a needed project, and everybody's worked their tails off to get it. And I'm glad you guys did that, Tracy, in your offices, get this where we are today. So it's going to make a lot of people happy because they still had doubts about it even when they voted yes on this. I mean, big time. So.
Well, like I said, I keep in mind this started in 2012, right?
Right.
So everybody's new. Nobody that is here today, except for me and I think Max Rodriguez, even, we're on the board. Was it in the engineering staff or anything?
In 12, I was here.
Okay, and you. So.
They yelled at me when we first started this, those people. Those public hearings we had up there were just disastrous.
Well, we want to do what's right for the people up there.
Exactly.
They've been waiting for this
show.
project for many years to start. And we kind of put the cart before the horse a little bit, if I can get on my soapbox, because we didn't bring the debt advisory committee together like we probably should have, so we could have answered all those questions to the engineers that were working on it at the time. So they made all of their estimations, and they put together the engineer's report before they ever came to the financing team. So,
and not counting inflation 6 years later, 7 years, whatever.
So apparently it's working, Tracy. That's good. Let's go public. Any public comments on this item? We don't have any. Let's bring it back to the board.
Move to approve item 9D, and thank you so much, Tracy, in your office and all the other ones that was on that committee.
Second.
We have a first and second.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
And thank you for investing in Madera County.
you're welcome. I think that's the right thing to do.
I think it is. I really do.
Let's go on to 9E, Public Works Department.
9E, Public Works Department, Administration Division. Discussion and consideration of approval of a resolution approving an installment sale agreement in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $7,700,000 to finance wastewater improvement projects and approving related documents and actions.
Good morning, members of the board. I'm Adel Kayat again. I have with me Ms. Andrea Salzate. She's the manager of our administrative division at Public Works. And this is basically a follow-up of the previous item that Tracy thankfully presented, and thank you for all your effort, Tracy, and the team, all the consultants for this, to make almost an impossibility possible. So I appreciate that. So basically this is the in-house, what do you want to call it, how we are going to be dealing with the money and how it's going to be dispersed and paid with the bonds. So we're here. Any questions? Right? If you have any questions, Andrea can answer.
It's your job, right?
Yeah.
Got these money gurus.
Does the board have any comments?
Nope.
Okay, bring it back. Call motion.
Oh, I'm probably okay. I move we approve item 9E.
Second.
First and second. Roll call.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
9F, we adjourn the Board of Supervisor meeting, reconvene as the Public Financing Authority.
Board of Supervisors acting as the directors of the Madera County Public Financing Authority. Board of Directors of the Madera County Public Financing Authority, Public Works Department, Administration Division. Discussion and consideration of approval of a resolution authorizing the issuance of wastewater revenue bonds in the aggregate principal amount not to exceed $7,700,000 to finance wastewater improvement projects and improving related documents and actions.
Is the chairman automatically the chairman of the Public Finance Authority? Do we do that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Just want to make sure.
Okay.
Okay, good morning again. This is also in relation to the same projects we're talking about, also items 9E and D, and we're here for any questions.
Any comment from the board? None? Public? We have a motion?
I move we approve item 9F.
Second.
Roll call.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
Okay. We hereby resume as Board of Supervisors meeting.
Thank you, guys and girls.
19.
9G, Board of Supervisors Department. Presentation by Michael Bacardoro. Executive Director of Dairy Cares will present a summary of the 2016 Sustainability Report.
Thank you. Good morning. Michael Bocadoro with Dairy Cares. I want to take this opportunity to just share with you a little bit about some of the dairy industry's activities. It's an important part of the San Joaquin Valley economy, and we appreciate the opportunity to share some of the activities that we've been taking on here in California. Dairy Cares was formed about 15 years ago by the entire dairy industry, representing about 95% of both the milk that's produced and processed here in California. And the organization coalition was formed to deal with environmental issues, and we later added animal welfare issues to that. And we've been operating and continue to operate to achieve better sustainability practices here in California. The mission is very straightforward for Dairy Cares. It's to maintain the industry's sustainability, and as you're probably well aware, farming in this state, in particular dairy farming in this state, has become increasingly difficult. We did lose about 53 dairies in California in just the first 6 months of this year, and we're now down below 1,400 dairies statewide, and that's down over 1,000 in the past decade alone. So it's a changing environment. We're dealing with it as best we can, but it is becoming more difficult to farm in this state. I don't think I'm telling you something you didn't know about that. We have many positive accomplishments. One of the ones we're most proud of is through production efficiency. We have been able to reduce the water in every glass of milk by 2/3. So it takes 2/3 less water today to produce every glass of milk here in California than it did 60 years ago. We think that's obviously a trend that's going to continue. We're doing a lot with water use efficiency. The industry does also face significant sustainability issues and increasing regulation for air quality, for water quality, for greenhouse gases, and animal welfare. I'll talk briefly about each of those issues, and see if we can get that quote to come up. There it is. On an air quality front, our efforts have been paying off. Dairy families have reduced smog-forming emissions from dairy farms in California by about 30%. That's a significant accomplishment that we're going to be working with the Air District here in the San Joaquin Valley to continue to improve upon. We've also taken significant steps on the renewable energy front, and dairies are increasingly installing solar energy systems. And just to put that in perspective, most of the dairies are putting in about 1 megawatt of solar or more, and each megawatt is the equivalent of taking about 300 cars off the roadways here in the San Joaquin Valley. And so it has a significant both greenhouse gas and air quality benefit associated with it. One of the other areas where we're spending a great deal of time is on water quality. And the dairy industry operates under the most comprehensive water quality regulations in the nation. We're making further recommendations to the Regional Water Board by 2019 on additional steps that the industry will be taking to improve water quality. One of the other really great programs that the industry has implemented is the Central Valley Dairy Representative Monitoring Program. This was formed by the dairy industry a number of years ago. It includes 443 monitoring wells on 42 dairies here in the San Joaquin Valley, and it is unprecedented and by far the most comprehensive agricultural groundwater protection program anywhere in the nation. On the greenhouse gas front, it's one of the areas where you're going to be hearing quite a bit. There have been a number of laws passed in California that have impacts on the dairy industry, and like those in other parts of North America, our dairies are very proud to say that we have the lowest carbon footprint per glass of milk produced anywhere in the world. That's a significant accomplishment, and if you look at it over time, over the past 7 decades, we've reduced that carbon footprint, or hoofprint as we like to say in the dairy industry, by 63% for every glass of milk produced. And that's pretty unprecedented when you think about other industries in the state of California. And then finally, on the greenhouse gas front, dairies account for just 4% of the state's greenhouse gas inventory, but we will be working with state regulators to achieve an additional 40% reduction in manure methane produced by California dairy farms by 2030. That was under legislation passed, not necessarily widely supported by the dairy industry in California, but it's nonetheless something we're going to be dealing with. We won't be facing any specific regulations in the short term, but sometime after 2024, the state could actually begin regulating dairies, and that could have a significant additional impact. So we're going to be working cooperatively for the period of time. And then on the animal welfare front, California was first state to initiate the National Dairy Farm Program, and we're working towards having every dairy in California evaluated for animal welfare practices in the San Joaquin Valley. That's a very important program that we've accomplished. And then just finally, for more information, feel free to visit our website. We've provided copies of the sustainability brochure here for you today, and we appreciate the opportunity to come in and chat with you. We do have a great deal of information on our website and available on social media that we'd like to further share. And then let me just conclude by saying thank you. We appreciate the time this morning. The industry certainly appreciates the support it receives here in Madera County, and we look forward to continuing to be an important part of the community. We do provide about 190,000 jobs in California and about $65 billion in economic activity. So we hope we're still wanted. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Yeah, I just want to... Oh.
No, I think it's Tom. And then,
yeah. Supervisor Wheeler?
Yeah, thank you. How many dairies do we have in Madera County?
Off the top of my head, I don't know that I know the answer to that. We have about 1,400 statewide.
39,000 acres of dairy in my district.
There you go.
But I was just wondering how many individual dairies are left.
I'll get that information for you. I probably should have had that with me today. The number is declining, though, unfortunately.
These people bitch about the methane and all that. I know it just drives me crazy because we had cows and animals out here way before people were here. So just keep up the good work.
Thank you.
What do you see as
Supervisor Rogers?
It's a big concern for me in District 2 because we have a large employment base in the dairy industry, very prolific taxpayers, very productive, and I'm concerned about the future of the dairy industry in our region. Naturally, if you think the state will require a methane capturing program, is that what you're insinuating?
Clearly, to achieve a 40% reduction, it's voluntary in the short term through 2024. We'll have to have additional methane capture. We're looking not just at digesters for that purpose, where we're covering lagoons or building steel tank digesters. We'll also be looking at other alternatives, converting some dairies to scrape systems, which can reduce methane, as well as increase solid separation prior to manure going into a lagoon. So all three of those practices, but yes, the answer is there's going to need to be reductions in methane from dairy cows under legislation that was passed by California in 2016.
So eventually the lagoons will probably be enclosed facilities.
Probably covered facilities.
Yeah.
If you look at the digesters, we've got 16 that are operating here in California today, including some on the largest dairies in the state. I believe there's one in Madera County, if I'm not mistaken. But those are mostly covered lagoons where they're being covered with a plastic covering. Methane's being captured and utilized to produce electricity. I think the intention of the industry in working with the Air District locally, they'd like to see us move that to transportation fuel production, which will not only achieve the methane reductions we're currently achieving, but actually help with NOx and particulate matter by replacing diesel fuel with a low NOx alternative. And that could be very beneficial to the valley air quality as well.
What frustrates me the most about this, and maybe you've already digested this information adequately to understand. But we're dealing with a situation where we have overgrown forests that are burning in catastrophic fires that create far more carbon and PMs and generate the kind of gases that supposedly harm the ozone. And we're not dealing with that. But we're going to focus on the flea over here on the dog, supposedly.
Yeah, the dairy industry does have a target on its back, and it's in large part because of the greenhouse gas we produce is methane.
Right.
And methane, like black carbon from forest fires, is a short-lived climate pollutant. The state, whether we agree with it or not, has placed a priority on short-lived climate pollutant and reducing them. And so we have a target, no question.
Yeah.
On our butts.
I think you can make an adequate argument, but whether people listen to the actual scientific information or not remains to be seen. In fact, one burp from a volcano is equivalent to thousands of years of methane production in all the dairies of the world.
Yeah. Yeah, the state's being very aggressive on greenhouse gases.
Supervisor? Yeah. I look at this from a very selfish standpoint as a pizza restaurateur. What happens when we regulate these dairies out of California to a point? I mean, milk is a staple for people's diets, and I mean, we use it in literally everything we do. What happens when we have? What do you see the price being if we have to import it from elsewhere?
It'll clearly have to increase, and we're working with the state to recognize what we call leakage. It's the point you make, which is if they overregulate us here in California, production will simply shift and the greenhouse gas emissions with it to another state or another country, where we'll simply be importing. We're not changing demand, and so it's really critical that the state find a way to work voluntarily with the industry to achieve these reductions rather than through regulation. It's just going to force dairies out.
Yeah, as we're growing, I mean, like I said, there's no one in this room that doesn't use dairy products every single day. I just don't get how we can push it out so that we have to then import it. I don't know. I'm sorry. It costs me a lot more money. That's the second largest line item after labor for me is cheese.
I've always supported the dairy industry very well in that regard. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll take a 5-minute break, come back to item 10, hearing. 5-minute break.
Okay, 10 o'clock public hearing, Community and Economic Development Department, Planning Division. Hearing to consider the request of Bob Shockley for a letter of public convenience and necessity to obtain a Type 20 off-premise license to allow the sale of beer and wine from a service station and mini-mart. The property is owned by Subaji Paul and is located on the west side of Highway 41, approximately 0.24 miles north of its intersection with Road 209, Madera. The parcel is assessed via Highway 41. The parcel is zoned commercial rural medium. The general plan is highway service commercial. The O'Neill's area plan is rural commercial.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Matt Trieber, Planning Department. I have Robert Mansfield, who is handling both this project and the conditional use permit for a Circle K gas station mini mart at this location as well. This is, as Rhonda had stated, just north of the 209, the 145 and 41 intersection as well. It's about a mile north of that. Planned commercial, zone commercial, area plan designation of commercial as well. But Robert and I are available for any questions the board may have on this item.
Supervisor Wheeler.
I have a bunch of questions, but when I go by today, I look and I see that there's at least 3 wells on this full parcel. And so is these parts of the other well, or is that they're going to have a simple well? And also in the background, back up that there was have a room septic just on that street. Do we have to have a common basin for those stuff?
Yes, sir. And this is, as I stated, just going through the entitlement aspects. It's a conditional use permit for the gas station. And so, yes, that gas station will have its own ponding basin at this time. There's no planned development on any of those other parcels. If there were at that time, we could look at jointly doing that, and that still may be an option ultimately. Yeah. And it will be a public water system. Environmental Health has reviewed that application. And so the number of individuals that will be served by that facility will requires the public water system on site as well. So it does have its own well, as you mentioned.
I screwed up, didn't I? I didn't have it turned on. Thank you, Ron. Just yell at me. You don't have to come over here. I usually leave it on, but I was talking to Rob a while ago, so I turned it off.
Yes, Supervisor. We've looked at that. Dex is here as well from Environmental Health, but we've looked at that in detail as a part of that application on the wells.
So is there one well that's not public health-wise standard?
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. Dexter Marr, Environmental Health. Yes, Supervisor Wheeler. The initial well that was on site was not built to public water standards, so that's why they created a second well on that site. Okay.
Well, do you know, I seen 3 wellheads on there when I drove by. You know if there's another well on there?
No, I'm not aware of that. I know that recently they did pull a permit and they did construct the well that they're going to use to public water standards.
Okay. I think that's all. And then I see it's 4,976 square feet at the building. Is that what I got off the plans?
Yes, that is correct, sir. I believe so.
And it looks like that they did a pretty good rendering of the outside. So it was like that one down there we're doing down here on 99. It don't look like just a square tin building. So that's really nice. So thank you.
Can you explain again just how big the census tract is in terms of doing these licenses within how many square miles that is? I know it's a lot bigger in those areas. If you can just explain that again.
Mr. Supervisor, Robert Mansfield, Planning Division. Unfortunately, I don't have an exact size of this particular census tract. However, the ABC does use the the census tracts in terms of the numbers of licenses that they would issue in a particular area based on the population of that particular census tract.
So this does like all of O'Neill's, does it go into Raymond and?
Yeah, it's a very large area because it's broken down also by population base, and there's not a lot of populace there at that area. There's been 2 licenses that are existing in this census tract, the one's at the 22-mile house, and then I believe the other is at the Avenue 15 at the Chevron station. So that is a pretty large swath. That's about 6 miles there, 6.5 miles just there. So it's a large census tract with very few
and this is
licenses.
pretty far from being considered Skid Row or anything. You know, there's not a huge density of any of these licenses, correct?
No, sir.
Correct.
Only 2 places.
I know. Yeah,
Oakhurst and
I just wanted to
Avenue 12.
I just wanted to illustrate that fact that there is a large amount of area that doesn't have anything in there. So.
Right.
So you don't want people to go drive?
No, I want to. And we take in the population of all the people that are driving up to Yosemite that we can pull off right here too. So
Let's go public, please. Dale?
Dale Drozman, Fresno County. With the quarries going in, one above it and one below it and possibly another one, would it be possible to turn the well that doesn't qualify as a public water source into a monitoring well? We need to do some groundwater monitoring for the quarries. That would be a nice central site for it.
It'd be a good northern.
Yeah, and Dale brings up a good point. Actually, just this week we'll be sending out letters for the well monitoring requirements of the Austin Quarry project. Madera Quarry already has that requirement in place. We are monitoring a number of private wells in the area. This property does fall within that 2.5 mile boundary, so Mr. Sabashi, as the property owner, will have the right to request his well to be monitored as a part of that. So that's absolutely an option.
I'd like to have some
Yeah, they've got to monitored. Yeah, they've got to be voluntary on all those, right?
Correct. And there's...
You can't mandatory make people do that.
No, that is accurate, sir. It'll be voluntary. They'll have, signed letters that they'll submit back to us. So it's that is absolutely voluntary.
Yeah, we found that out when we done the water study from Madera County.
Do you want to speak? Dale?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
One of the things that I'm not sure which meeting it was, but on the groundwater, it's pretty expensive abandoning a well, which is required if you're not using it. Rather than abandoning a well, they can sign it over as a monitoring well, which might be an incentive to get them to be an exclusive monitoring well for the county process.
If they were to do so, is there additional cost to doing that in the monitoring well? Or would we absorb that cost?
I'd have to, we'll look into that. I don't know that answer off the top of my head. And the Dex may have an idea.
Vulcan has to.
Tom Wheeler?
Yeah. I fought that, Dale, from day one, abandoning these wells. I hate it when they do that, when they could always be coming back. And so I've suggested that before, to use them for monitoring wells and stuff, but it's been an uphill battle for me. So, because I think that if we got that hole there, why should we ruin it? So,
Supervisor Fraser?
In terms of monitoring wells for Vulcan pays for that.
100%. That's accurate. Yes. Exactly. No cost to the property owners.
Or to the county.
Or to the county. Correct.
Public. Let's bring it back to the board. Motion.
I move that we approve item 10A, and congratulations. I can't wait to see it get building.
Second. We have a second.
Second.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
Rodriguez is going to be. It's a lot of ROs for you.
Do you want to go to 9H? Okay. Auditor Controller Department, discussion and consideration of approval of a resolution appointing Darla Weiser as a retired annuitant to the position of Deputy Auditor Controller, Extra Help, waiving the 180-day wait period from the date of retirement and making findings in support thereof effective January 4, 2017.
Good morning, Supervisors. Todd Miller, Auditor Controller. California statute states that, with some recent modifications, that all special districts are to be audited between every 1 to 5 years. Our county is never, as far as I know, been in compliance. We haven't done that. And this law states that the auditor shall cause the special districts to be audited. We are in the midst of that. We you have approved the contract for the independent auditor. They are supposed to start on February 2. Several months ago, I assigned Darla to head this project, which she has done. A couple of you have toured my office during Christmas, and I showed you the notebooks we're putting together for each and every special district so that you and everybody else in the county will be able to have a single source to view the financial statements and as well as any outstanding debt, any motions that have ever been made, right back to the originating documents for those. Darla is in charge of that. And because of that, it is important to the county, I believe, that we have her finish that project. We actually have all hands on deck right now. All of our staff, all of our accounting staff, now that we have the financials out today, they start working to complete 127 separate financial statements for the auditor to start reviewing on February 1. So I ask that you approve this motion and allow Darla to come back and finish her job.
Supervisor Frazier?
This is such a important and, huge undertaking. It's one thing to do the whole county, but then 127, we need to have as many people that have institutional knowledge of these as possible. I think there's absolutely a need for this, and to keep the institutional knowledge on it is important. Thank you for bringing this forward, and thank you for looking into this, because this has been a burr on my side, and I don't have near the amount as Tom does up there. When we're number one in the amount of special districts in the state, and we don't have a way to make sure that we know exactly where all the dollars and cents are going in these special districts, is something that really keeps me up at night. And so I appreciate you doing this and creating that transparency for those financial documents. So this is a big step forward, and I'm fully in support of it.
Let me throw out kudos to our CAO. He and I had a discussion about special districts that was actually on top of this, and that was that all these super districts, which you are charged with managing, we need to let those people know whatever we're managing, when does that wear out? What's its expiration date? And so instead of managing by crisis, we can impart financial information as well as asset replacement information to those people. That also is going to help Public Works go out and talk to these people about 2018 elections to raise the rates. Many of these rates haven't been raised, including my own district, in at least 25 years.
Yeah, every time we have a crisis, the first thing we have to do is look back at the financials to see if there's any money to do anything. And that should not be what we have. That should not be our starting point. We should already have that information readily available right there to say, okay, we can't pay for it out of here. We got to figure something else out. But we have to go back and look. It is terrible. And I hate having to even vote on the special districts budgets, because they're not true budgets. I know that there's state laws and whatever, but that say that they have to balance. But when it's not accurate, this is the start of it, to getting their financial health to a place where we can actually manage these and provide the services that are necessary to our residents.
You're absolutely right, and we're working with Norm on this. And again, kudos to CAO for grabbing this issue by the tail when it was brought to his attention and making it happen.
Yeah, Supervisor Wheeler.
Yeah, thank you. This is something Max and I've been fighting on since 2010. But you said 127 special districts. My count says 140 something.
That's true. A number of special districts that exist that have debt associated with them.
Yeah.
Those are required to be audited as part of our normal audit procedures.
Oh, okay.
And so we don't have to re-audit those. Those were audited from my earlier presentation today. And Max can read you that out of the little book that I gave him of 180 pages. So that's why it's 127 that we actually contracted to have an outside auditor audit. Pardon me?
We're doing 127 now, 140 something, so everybody knows.
We've already done the balance of them as part of our normal CAFR.
Okay.
The 127 to bring us in compliance with state law.
So we got about 120 of them in our district, Todd.
Yes, I know. Some of them are very simple, but still, we need to know
we and they both
information. And all you supervisors have access to that. I invite you to come into the department. You can pull out a notebook on any one of those departments when we're complete, and you'll have every piece of information, including historic information, available to you to make good financial decisions.
Todd, thank you for being proactive. As department head, you have to find out, most of the time you're short-handed. And this time we can afford it. We can keep you fully staffed and get in front of the 8 ball. Have that information available so that we can do a better job. The information you feed us is what we work on.
You need good financial information to make good decisions. So.
Yeah.
Hey, Max, we could say no and let him do it.
Okay. Let's have a public comment. Dale?
Chairman? Oh, sorry.
Oh, excuse me, Norman.
I just wanted to add to that as well. So really the process here, this process came to the board. Like we said, Todd has really put some effort behind getting those big audits done to keep us for CDBG compliant and other grants. This was discovered as I can sympathize with Todd as we're going through the world and we go, oh my God, no one's ever, like you said, no one's ever done this before. And I looked at Todd and I said, boy, that's an interesting one. So this notion that the districts weren't being audited, and what happened in the past was they kind of kept up with it when they had when they needed money. So the process that was started earlier this year of identifying the situation in the asset, the depletion issue, is an important thing. I would suggest that we also have a meeting probably before February with Todd's staff and my staff, because we have a lot of good history documents. I can tell every time Linda Versay wants something, I have to go dig it out personally out of MD10 and make it happen. So the asset issue is very important. I concur. For years we didn't raise rates, and partly because the water table wasn't declining as bad, things seemed to be pretty good, and you didn't have those issues. So there's another thing we need to bring up with respect to this. A new state law came out, and Todd brings up the point. Once you do an audit on these things, there's a new state law that just was passed that gives the board the discretion of whether or not we do an annual audit, or on some of these districts you can go, I don't know all the details, but we can go a certain amount of time without doing it. Yeah, 1 to 5 years, but it's at the board's discretion. So I'm not here, certainly speaking as the planning director, I'm not here to advocate we just not do these audits, even though we've never done one. But once we get a good baseline, like Todd says, some of these things are very simple and don't have a lot of activity and can be audited on the back of a napkin by myself. But what we're really talking about is a planning process. And the reason why I step forward to say something is the 5 Ps, right? Prior planning prevents poor performance. We haven't prepared in a planning sense in special districts. We haven't kept up on it. We haven't had a long-range plan, whether that's a infrastructure plan or a financial plan or even a public outreach plan. They all end the word plan, right? You have to, again, the future belongs to those who plan for it. That's the American Planning Association's motto this year. So I just wanted to put out there, I appreciate what Todd's doing and the CAO has done. The other thing we've done is we're starting to account. The board has said, and Supervisor Brett Fraser has said, when we go negative, we don't just balance it all out and say, we're all balanced and make it hunky-dory. Todd has said, when we go negative, we're going to be honest about it, and we're going to book these districts as if that is, and make sure that we're honest about it and make sure that money is getting reimbursed back to that. So the CAO's office in helping us with these loans in the long term and this sort of 3-office organization has been very important, but I just wanted to put it back to one word with P, planning, right? They haven't planned long term for these districts, and you can't manage by crisis. Again, a crisis is easy to fix, but when you manage by crisis, I know of a few RMA directors that used to do that, and I don't think that's the way we want to go. Thanks.
Former RMA directors. So I think Norm makes a good point. So between this and then our engineer assessment of all the different districts to help look at all that, between that, we can now put that plan together and actually have the services that are what people are paying for, and they know where their money's going because we have an audited accounting of it, and which will help pass the 2018 elections, because before, they're going to vote for something but not know where their money's going. I mean, what usually happens. That's what's been the whole bugaboo. That's why we did that MD10A comprehensive report, was because no one knew where anything was going, and no one knew what was accounted, and it didn't matter how many spreadsheets we could show. There always seemed like there was something missing somewhere. So I think between those two, we can actually get our arms around these special districts and actually figure out how to manage them correctly. And it hasn't been, it's not the fault of the staff. We just haven't grabbed it, this whole global picture of it, to be able to effectively manage it. And so I am so excited about this. I can't even tell you.
All right, Dale. Dale Drozen, Fresno County. There's a new board of directors in Rolling Hills, and they're trying to dig in. I'm helping them dig into some of the information on the water district out there, and there's also a road district that's tied in with it in an odd sort of way. It's been a nightmare getting information, and a lot of the information we've gotten has come from Darla Weiser to get, kind of chasing rabbits, but get back to what the motion is on hiring her. Changing horses in the middle of this stream is not going to do us any good. It's going to cost the county a ton of money. It's going to slow it down. So I say vote yes on that. And one of the things that was mentioned during this discussion, as well as earlier, was that book that was given to Max Rodriguez. Anything given by the staff to the board should be available to the general public. I'd like an electronic copy of that after the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let's get back for a motion.
I move that we approve item 9H.
Second. We have first and second. Roll call.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
Okay. We'll break for lunch, come back at 1:30.
Thank you, boss.
Oh my gosh, well, you did the right thing by this.
9I, County Administration Department, Human Resources, Operations Division, and Social Services Department. Amendment to Classification Plan, Legal Assistant 123. 1, discussion and consideration of approval to amend the classification plan by adding the classes of Legal Assistant 1, Legal Assistant 2, and Legal Assistant 3. 2, discussion and direction to set the salary ranges for the Legal Assistant class series as follows. Legal Assistant 1, range 198, $3,612 to $4,390 per month. $43,349 to $52,691 annually, $20.84 to $25.33 per hour. B, legal assistant 2, range 228, $4,195 to $5,099 per month, $50,346 to $61,196 annually, $24.20 to $29.42 per hour. Legal assistant 3, range 248, $4,365 to $5,634 per month, $55,627 to $67,615 annually, $26.74 to $32.50 per hour. 3, discussion and direction to designate the legal assistant 1, 2, 3 classes as overtime eligible pursuant to the Fair Labor Standards Act. 4, discussion and direction to allocate the legal assistant 1, 2, 3 classes as unrepresented for bargaining purposes.
Good afternoon, Kelly.
There's still 5.
I have 5 and 6. I'm sorry.
Got a few more to go, and I missed half of them, so we're going to have to redo them.
Plus, I'd like to take another break before we take this item up.
Max, I got to go to the bathroom.
Do we have enough money to cover all these increases?
I'm going to cover them for you this afternoon. Is there somebody in this position already this afternoon? Is that your question?
Money.
Oh, yes, we definitely have the money to cover this. You know, with the way that the money works in social services, it's a very nominal cost over what we're currently doing. Supervisor Rodriguez. Sorry.
Number 5, discussion and direction to amend the classification plan by eliminating the class of legal assistant. 6, discussion and direction to the Human Resources Operations Division of County Administration to amend the position allocation within the Department of Social Services as follows, effective January 1, 2017. A, amend the current 1 full-time employee position allocated to the class of legal assistant to the class series of legal assistant 1, 2, 3.
Good afternoon. Kelly Woodard, your Social Services Director. This request came from Social Services because organizationally it became known to me that the person that's currently in this position was handling some very high-level issues for the department. As you are aware, we moved over a legal team over under the umbrella of Social Services, and the incumbent does do things such as appeals, such as handling some high-level legal work tied to some serious injuries, even death, that have come that the department is addressing. When you look at the specs, they are outside of the realm of what somebody at the 1 level or the no 1, 2, 3 level would be expected to handle. This 1, 2, 3 class change would allow us, in terms of succession planning and otherwise, to really grow people in our department and have them compensated, of course, if they're doing a higher level function. Oh, and Supervisor Rodriguez, your question about
anybody in the public with any comment?
Is this the right thing to do, and we can cover the cost?
Sure. The cost is very nominal because of the way our department's budgeting works. The total cost for the year is a little over $4,000 a year for the county cost. We're already picking up.
And organizationally, this is the best thing for you.
This is the best thing for us. All of our positions, with the exception of the highest level ones, have a 1, 2, 3 step pattern, recognizing people's step as a fledgling, and they evolve and they grow.
So this is consistent with...
This is very consistent with what we're doing already.
I'll move to approve after we go out to the...
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, first and second.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
Thank you. The problem was
Thank you.
having to read that, it would have taken us into the lunch hour.
Yeah.
15 minutes.
At least.
Yeah.
9J, Community and Economic Development Department, Environmental Health Division, On-Site Wastewater Treatment System and Draft Local Agency Management Program. 1, introduce and waive the full reading of an ordinance amending Chapter 13.54 of Title 13 of the Madera County Code entitled On-Site Wastewater Treatment System and receive comments on the associated Draft Local Agency Management Program. 2, discussion and consideration to authorize submittal of the Madera County Draft Local Agency Management Program and amended on-site wastewater treatment system, Chapter 13.54 of Title 13 of the Madera County Code, to the Central Valley Regional Water Quality Control Board for their review and approval for adoption.
Good afternoon, Chairman, members of the board, Dexter Marr, Environmental Health Division. I also have with me today is Monica Roth. She oversees our liquid waste program in our division. The item you have before you today is a mandate from Assembly Bill 885, which requires each local jurisdiction to implement an on-site wastewater treatment program or to comply with the state's program. We were before the board a year ago for directions on where we would like to take this, and with your directions, we decided to implement our own on-site wastewater treatment plant treatment system program within the Environmental Health Division. We're here if you have any questions. Yeah, so under one of the requirements through the state was it was actually a tier permitting system. So they had different tiers on how each county can pursue. And one of the tiers, the first tier was whatever the state requirement was, then that's what the policy is. So it was a one strict setup for each state, for the state of California, but it wasn't feasible for Madera County because the way our terrain and topography and soil conditions in Madera County is different. So one of the other requirement was they gave the option for the county to implement their own on-site wastewater treatment plan. And Madera County already had an ordinance and also a policy. And what we did was we just updated it to make it current and feasible for the residents of Madera County in our plan.
Yeah, this all stems from a few years ago when they were trying to make everybody put those $40,000 to $80,000 systems along creeks and stuff, and they had it one size fit all, and that was for the coast and mountains, the valley, anything else. And Frank Bigelow and I went to when they had the hearing in Fresno. We didn't get to speak that night till 11 o'clock, and it started about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And we raised so much heck that we did as a board and all the other boards in the state said you can't have a plan like that. That's one plan fits all. And we actually went up, I did, to go speak to the water board or whatever it was that was pushing this. And I got up there and I had a short one because they said they wouldn't let you talk. They actually cut me off while I was about half done and said I didn't ask them beforehand to have a couple of minutes longer, and they wouldn't let me talk. So when it was over, he was a professor at Fresno State, was a governor's appointment. I went up there and I chewed him a new asshole. I told him, I said, mister, I said, I can't believe that you would do that like that. You're dictating to the public what we're going to be doing and not doing, and you sit there and act like that. I said, and I will always remember that, mister, whether you're here or not.
So you took your extra time after the meeting?
What's that?
You took your extra time after the meeting with him?
Exactly. And
he's going to hear it one way or the other, huh?
Well, if you want to stay, I'll let you speak afterwards. I said, oh, yeah, everybody's gone. It's a big deal, buddy. And so this is, they come back and redone all this so that all the cities and counties that have policies that take care of what we know. You guys don't know nothing. They read your book and they said, this is the way we've got to do it. They actually didn't know. It's so far over the head, we asked them questions. Frank and I did at that hearing, they couldn't answer. Well, we'll get back to it because they have no idea how any of this stuff works, that we got people that's been educated how to do this. And so this is what this all stems from. So thank you for bringing us up to date and how this all works. So it's a plus.
Any other comments from the board?
I move we approve item J.
Bring it back. Motion.
I move we approve item J 1 and 2, and thank you, staff, for being ahead of the state. They don't take much, but
waive the reading and introduce. You have to waive the reading and introduce.
This one don't have that.
No. This is introducing and waiving the full reading. Okay. So we're not setting a hearing or another meeting. Yeah.
No, don't say it on there. So.
Second.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Well, I guess that wraps it up, right? 11, pending legislation.
I wasn't given any pending legislation, Chairman.
We just passed a good one.
Supervisor's report.
I just want to wish everybody a Happy New Year, and I wanted to personally welcome Supervisor Poitras. I've worked with him before across the street. I'm excited to see you down there and look forward to hopefully having 4 years that we can actually do something again. So,
all right, thank you very much.
I think that could be said for the rest of us, too.
Yep. I was going to say the same thing, but he beat me to it, so
appreciate it.
Welcome aboard, and we'll educate you as we go. And so,
well, you've already been very helpful. You told me how to, protocol.
How to use that thing, and
yeah,
I gave him a little protocol about how we do when we do the. If it's in our districts, so we all...
Because that's how we've always done it, right, Tom?
Exactly.
That's your favorite?
No, I told him how I got my hand slapped. I told him how I got my hand slapped when I first got on the board.
Poitras, say anything here for us and forgive us for our bad language sometimes?
No, I really appreciate, you guys, as you all know, very, very,
This afternoon to see how you guys work in the afternoon.
Working. Oh gosh! No, looking forward to serving with you and getting to learn more about the county and to me, what's important to Tom up in Oakhurst and North Fork and some of those areas is just as important as what is important to David out in Chowchilla and Fairmead and the ranchos and all that. It's a good Chowchilla is and a healthy Oakhurst is all good. They're all good for the county, and so I'm looking forward to that. And incidentally, I wanted to mention that this is not my first stint with the county. Back in 1975, I worked for the county, the summer of 75 and 76, in the county road department.
Good.
And I was
educated how to work.
Exactly. Although it was Joe Hughes was a road commissioner, and Bill King and Colucci and some of those guys, and I did a lot of work up on Road 620, running center line and elevations, and learned where Hildreth was and Feingold and Country Club in North Fork. Oh, absolutely, all those areas, and so it was a great time back then, and 41 years later, I can say I'm proud to be back on board. So thank you so much.
Welcome aboard.
No, that's all I had to say.
Okay. Eric?
I'd like to say one thing.
Out of council?
I'd like to say, Max, you did a good job running the meeting today, and I really like starting at 9. I think that's perfect again, so we're back like we used to be. And it's a pleasure, buddy. Looking forward to you leading us again.
I heard you.
Just want to make sure.
So we'll start the meeting at 8:30, okay?
I beg your pardon, son? You're going to go 1 week one way and one the next?
No. We go back to our regular schedule. We start at 8:30.
Start at 8:30 with closed session at the beginning?
Yeah.
Why don't we do it at 1:30 like we used to? No. Really? I'm going to vote no then.
I can't hear you.
You already voted.
Would you like to move to closed session and have county council read the items into the record?
Yeah, a couple items. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the board, there are 3 items on the agenda for closed session, but one of them will be removed. We're not going to conduct item 13A, the request for closed session, conference with labor negotiators. That item has been removed, so we won't be meeting with the labor negotiators. But there are 2 other items. 13B is the conference with real property negotiator pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.8. The property and the negotiators are listed as on the agenda. And then item 13C is the public employee performance evaluation pursuant to Government Code Section 54957. The position being evaluated as chief clerk of the board.
Okay, very good. Thank you, guys, gentlemen.
Actually, I'll report.
Legal counsel.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
The wrong person.
That's okay. Mr. Chairman, thank you. 2 items on this afternoon's closed session. The board took no action on either item. There was discussion and direction given to staff. That's it. Thank you.
And we're adjourned, Chairman?
It's adjourned.